Hello, everybody out there. Today we are talking about Card Hunter. If you haven't looked at Card Hunter, you can go to the website. It's cardhunter.com, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so tonight we're still waiting on Kat and Shane, but I have here Robert and Tony to chat about the game.
It's
So,
true.
it's true. So, I'm going to try to see if I can get Kat on here and Shane. I'll start out with Robert. What was your first impression of Card Hunter?
Pretty blown away. I thought it was just gonna be a simple little flash game, and it was far more than that. In a lot of ways, it was pretty inspirational. So that's the short and sweet answer.
Cool. Tony, what was your first impression of Card Hunter?
Well, I liked the amount of depth that it seemed to have when I looked through the cards. I guess it seemed pretty simple at first, but then when you just add on a few extra little traits and stuff, then you start seeing how much depth there is to it. So I liked it for that aspect.
Cool. Robert?
I'm bringing you tea.
Oh, yay! Tonight I have very hot tea.
Also, Kat says she doesn't see anything, but I told her to check her G+ wall.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully she looks, because I sent it like 3 times. Okay, I guess I'll go into my first impression of the game.
Actually, can I stop you there for a second, Sonia?
Right here.
First off,
Hello.
I want to say thank you, Scooby-Doo, for joining us on stream. And, oh, Kat made it. So good. I was just going to give Kat and anyone else a few more minutes. Was Shane supposed to be here?
Yeah, I've sent him like 300 things. I don't have like anything except for messages to send him. I don't have like his phone number or anything like that.
All right. Well, before we go headlong into the conversation, let me try and bug him a little bit, too.
Okay.
So talk amongst yourselves. Say hello, and how is everyone doing? Hopefully no one's sick.
Hi, Kat. How are you? I didn't hear you. Kat, I can't hear you.
Oh.
Hello.
Shane.
Now. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Excellent.
I've been doing good, Scooby,
here.
although I'm sick right now, so boo-hoo. All right,
Cool.
Sonia, looks like we're all here, so if you wanted to go on ahead, you can.
Okay, so we just started our first impressions of Card Hunter. So I was kind of in the middle of mine. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really have any expectations for it because I've actually never played a game like Card Hunter before. But I was pleasantly surprised. I was worried it would be hard because I haven't played games like that before, but it was actually surprisingly easy to pick up. And I really like the mechanic. I really like how you equip your characters, and your stats are cards instead of just basic stats, and I think that's really interesting. So I really enjoy it, and I really like, you know, kind of the gimmickiness of the Dungeons and Dragons and the DM and all the funny things with pizza and soda and all the geekiness, and so I really enjoyed it.
I was partially offended by their depiction of the nerd culture.
Yeah, it was at least satirical, you know.
Yeah, that's why I like it though. It's because it was just kind of like it's like it's like those memes where what people think I'm doing, what I'm actually doing. I think it's the what people think I'm doing.
I like to call it nerd face.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, he's like, I can just imagine his voice talking like this and being like, oh my God, the pizza girl, oh, I forgot to give her my tip. She must think I'm this horrible guy.
Yeah. I just like the little voices that guy made.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Shane, what was your first impression of Card Hunter?
I actually was looking into it and I was like, man, this is gonna be some boring game. And then 3 hours later, I'm like, wow, I want more of this.
I had a problem with the game.
Uh-oh.
If your
Go for it.
stats are too evenly matched with your opponents, you can literally spend hours just, spend like tons and tons of turns just volleying back and forth. Like I got tired of the game because I was playing against this healer, against my other healer character. We just kept healing ourselves back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and we didn't have a lot of punch cards, so it was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I saw Sonya encounter an issue like that earlier, where
Scuttle.
she was trying to catch this one enemy that only had one hit point, and it
I
was just kept
chasing
running from her.
Right.
The block's too good. The blocking's too good. Like I'd be like, bang, like nothing, bang, nothing.
Yeah.
What did you, regarding the blocks, what did you guys feel? Well, I guess this is kind of a deep question, but I didn't really like the fact that the blocks were a dice roll. I mean, I understand it was trying to kind of simulate like Dungeons and Dragons, but I felt like you had to be lucky enough to draw the card, and therefore it's taking up space in your inventory, and then you get to use the card to kind of defend against an attack, but then sometimes it fails. So it's almost like, oh, well, if it didn't work, then now it has no purpose. I guess you got to keep it. You never really got to discard it, but I don't know if you guys had any opinion about that.
The part that kind of bugged me a little bit about the blocks was I felt like their blocks, when they were successful, were truly successful. I felt like mine, when they were successful, I still got like one hit point like knocked off.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was weird. I don't know if it was a combination of what I had or that's just the way the game works.
It's the blocks are different for each card that says so. Sometimes it says like block any and it'll block all the damage, but sometimes it just says, it blocks a certain amount.
Yeah.
Or actually, it might have been a difference between blocking and armor, because I think armor just takes away some hit points, but blocking always blocks everything.
Yeah, of a particular type or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't have my combination good enough to block the whole hit.
Well, it's also early in the game. I mean, I noticed that, there was lots of room for my characters to actually develop, and so it made sense that some of the cards that I had were not amazing, because that's part of the thrill of getting better items with better cards and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, and I guess if you kind of had the blocks always work, if the block card stays with you, then that would make it kind of overpowered.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why I guess I would have said, well, just discard the card and use it. But I don't know. It was just a minor thought. Like I was indifferent to that process. I guess for me in card games, what I like is consistency, not randomness, even though drawing cards is the random element of the game. But if I put certain cards in my deck, I want them to work unless someone counters it, and not because some die roll, thwarted me. But again, that was just very, very minor, not even issue, just kind of a observation.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I did kind of have a pet peeve on one of the part of the game.
Yes.
When after you did like a dungeon, and then you get your loot, that little extra box that says, "Well, if you're a member, you could have got this."
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't. I could see like being a member, you get the benefits, but it was just every time you finish a battle, you owe a slot, and I was like, ugh, this is. And even sometimes the items aren't even that good.
Yeah, the loot system kind of went to bed.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's part of the. Well, I'm not sure. I am 100% sure that that's part of their business model. Is you become a member, and that's how they make money off of this free-to-play game, and then you get extra items. But to your point, the item wasn't really sometimes, a lot of the time, wasn't really all that much better. So that kind of confused me. I thought I read somewhere that that item was always like a top tier item for that treasure chest. You know, like it would always provide you with one of the best items that that treasure chest could give you, assuming that the treasure chests are the loot's kind of randomly generated based off of a table.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes you'd see like, oh, it's you know, just kind of a piece of junk that you would sell and just get some money. I mean, maybe you get a lot of money from it, but I don't know. Yeah, it did not seem to be like a super big deal. So I'm not sure what else you're paying for with that.
With the chests that came up for me, though, I know they're random, but I swear it was like toying with me because it would have like I had so many rares pop up in that little slot if you were in the club or whatever, and I'm like, I wish you could have that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think in some cases it might be irritating, but
Mhm.
maybe not for everybody. But I guess I was just unlucky to not be in the club.
Yeah.
Game,
Thank
it
you,
was kind of like Magic the Gathering, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it depends how you're comparing the two.
Cards in them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, in general, no, but the fact that it's a card game and you're kind of building your deck, it has some similar qualities. But if you look at the way Magic and a lot of other kind of collectible card games are built, it's actually very different. But if you were to compare it to a collectible card game, you know, for people who are not familiar with collectible card games, you might say, oh, well, it's kind of like Magic in the sense that you are playing cards to perform actions and stuff like that.
Well, it's just the one I was playing, and like this is like it's like D&D and Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic the Gathering had a baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a fair
So
assessment.
yeah, with the because Yu-Gi-Oh has like trap cards and block cards and things like that, and I'm just like I'm getting all these bad trap cards.
No,
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh is always the I have the winning card, I'm going to win the game now card every time.
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yes, Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the
That
I
is
win
so
card.
racist.
Yeah.
I didn't
I
even
was
think of that.
I was playing a card game with my friend Scott when he was over last weekend. It's called also Daniel Curtis, thanks for joining us in the stream. I hope you're still there. We're talking about Card Hunter. I was playing my friend Scott. We were playing this collectible card game called Vanguard, and the way I described it was embarrassingly Asian, because it was one of those card games that, you know, you could tell it was all about this extremely flashy art. You know, a lot of flash, but not a lot of depth. But the actual mechanics of the game were kind of interesting. So I enjoyed playing a couple rounds with him. And even if every card gave me seizures to look at, it was just kind of interesting. What was my point? Hold on, I had a point. Oh, right. My point is that as we were playing, I kept joking about every card I would play was Blue Eyes White Dragon, Blue Eyes White Dragon, and we just started laughing about that because, well, I have not had very much experience with Yu-Gi-Oh card game, but what I did hear about it was, at the time that I heard about it, it was all about Blue Eyes White Dragon, and to this day I still don't. I'm looking it up. I need to know what that is.
Blue Eyes White
Blue
Dragon
Eyes.
is basically Kaiba's most powerful monster that he collects and convinces his love affair with. And if we're watching
my
the comics,
gosh.
he actually does.
Is there like fan fiction or fan art for that?
Well, the Blue Eyes White Dragon is supposed to be, okay, spoiler alert, it's been over 10 years, so put your fingers in your ears if you don't want a spoiler. The Blue Eyes White Dragon is supposed to be the spirit of a girl that Kaiba liked when he was the Pharaoh's advisor or sorcerer in a previous life.
Dun dun
Is the dragon
dun.
female?
What?
Is the dragon female?
Yes.
I don't know. Not that it matters, but
I thought there were more than one though.
Yes, but I'm saying the original card or what the thing's based on. What happened was is that Pegasus, who's this weird flamboyant guy, found this. Wow, I found evidence of an ancient Egyptian card game. I'm gonna make card games out of this stuff and sell it.
Oh, is that supposed to be the origin of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game? It's ancient Egypt?
Yes,
Yeah.
Pegasus finds all this artwork and stuff, and like supposedly how these games of souls or something like that were played by ancient Egyptians. He's like, I'm gonna make card games out of this shit.
Yeah. I'm glad you joined us, Kat, because I wouldn't have known any of that.
Well, I was a Yu-Gi-Oh fan at one point. Then the game got too complicated, and I realized I was outdated.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to talk more because as much as I shake my fist at Yu-Gi-Oh for destroying one of my favorite collectible card games, I am also curious to know how that game works. As just a designer myself, I'm always curious.
The easiest way to learn how to play it is just pick one of the old games like a GameStop and just play it through that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to avoid spending any money on it, so I'll probably just
I spent
YouTube it.
$15 on a cartridge just so I could learn how to play it, so when I was working at Toys R Us, the kids wouldn't beat my butt too bad when I was hosting the tournaments. They thought it was funny. One kid even gave me this card, this really powerful
By
card,
the
and handed it
Dragon?
to me. He's like, here, you need this more than I do. And I'm like,
Oh.
Should have ripped it in front of him.
no way, it was a cool card. I like
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't-
Sounds like Shane would have cast himself off a building if that happened.
Kids like it when they beat adults in games. It's fun.
Yeah.
Then you just physically beat them up afterward.
Yeah.
You're a violent individual, aren't you? You know, it's a bad stereotype for us Irish. Anyway, back to
Exactly.
the game at hand.
Yes, I know. It's like last time with Pokemon. We're just like, woo.
Hey, you know what? It's all about having a conversation, right? Also, thanks for the
I hope
tea.
people
Fun.
find it interesting to listen to.
So who actually found this game, Card Hunter? Or how was it discovered?
I did. I'm trying to remember how I found this game.
You were probably looking for games that you were thinking of making and then trying to find ones so that you wouldn't make one that already existed. I bet that's how you did it.
You know me way too well. It's probably similar to that because I have been kind of on this card game kick. And, actually, yes, you are absolutely right because, well, long story short, I was probably just looking up digital card games because there's a lot right now that are kind of starting to emerge. Hearthstone, Card Hunter, Soulforge. I don't know. There's a list of a bunch of them right now, and Uncharted. We are considering the next product that we make being similar to a digital card game for the collectible elements and deck building elements. And one of the general ideas was to instead of building a game where you're casting characters and monsters that fight each other, you're actually building a deck that represents a single character. So every card would be different actions, like a sword strike or a shield bash or a fireball and stuff like that. And Card Hunter has a lot of those elements, with every card being kind of a different action. And varying strengths of those actions and movement and stuff like that. So it has been insightful nonetheless. So that's where it came from.
Oh.
I could go on.
Continue now.
Let's talk about the artwork of the game. What do you think of that?
I have an opinion. Does anybody else have an opinion?
I'll just say one quick thing, I guess. I don't want to step on anyone, but I liked how it was like paper cutout looking. Kind of like almost like old games like
It was tabletop theme.
Yeah, tabletop theme, but it wasn't like they were like super 3D. They were kind of 2D-ish, 3D-ish.
Yeah.
I just kind of like that look to it. It felt like almost like pieces that you would use in like Candyland or something like that on like a board game, the old kids one. I kind of like the way it looked, and it was just interesting.
Yeah, it reminded me of games I used to make when I was little. I made like little characters like that.
Yeah. I really liked the theme. I think what definitely made it more interesting was the fact that they really played on the whole Dungeons and Dragons thing, to the point where, like, when you would go into a battle, you didn't have these wild, lush environments. You had this very simple board, and you had Funyuns and dice and pencils, like, sitting around. You know, it kind of created an atmosphere. I mean, it was interesting at first, and then I kind of forgot about it. So it was a minor detail. You know, it didn't really add to the game after a while.
Kind of
But it
ignored it
was,
after a while.
you what?
Kind of ignored it after a while. You just really
Right.
cared about where the characters were standing, and then you'd be reminded that it was a game board again when what's his face's overbearing brother is like you're wrong, you're playing it. It's like a card like comic book guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I liked it overall. The art style. I kind of wish that the characters, the pieces, the character pieces, I kind of wish those were um, uh, a little more readable, because I mean, I kind of liked the gimmick of the flat 2D paper on a little platform, jumping around a map. But there was multiple enemies, characters that, like, I was trying to figure out what it was, and there was this one that it would, like, when it moved around, it made some kind of mechanical sound, but I was looking at the picture and it kind of looked like a spider, kind of looked like a bat. I don't know, I couldn't really tell exactly what it was, and it was a little hard to get lost in the environment, because I couldn't really tell what it was I was really looking at with some of the enemies. You know, some of them were obvious, like the dragon and some of the goblins and things like that. But I don't know. I guess I would have liked the characters to be a little more readable.
Yeah, like there was like this dog cutout that I was looking at the butt of for so long, and I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Sometimes it would be hard to read like what type of character they were. Like I wouldn't notice that one of the casters was holding a staff, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's like shooting like long range attacks at me. Okay, I didn't realize that before. So yeah, I could see readability was a bit of an issue in that case. It was kind of hard to tell a little bit sometimes until something would happen.
Yeah.
Maybe if they had made like the stands they were on like a different color.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. I know also they had, and I'm sure this probably helped with the readability, but I know that all the characters had this kind of white outline, like where the card was kind of cut. You know, it wasn't like the image went all the way to the edge, because it had that kind of thick white outline because it was printed on a card. At least thematically it was. But yeah, visually I liked it, and I think it was also just evident that a game can be entertaining. It can be successful without, like, having to be you know, lots of graphics, lots of animation. I mean, there weren't even like lots of attack animations. Hey, Valen and ST Tazion. You know, it didn't have to have a bunch of animations and sword strikes and fireballs and stuff like that. It was pretty simple. So it you know, it got to the point.
Yeah.
Let me ask the stream real quick if have any of you guys played Card Hunter? It's a Flash game. I'll actually link it just so if you haven't, you can give it a try later. It's free to play. It's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons meets Magic the Gathering. But it's pretty neat, and that's what we're talking about.
It's socially acceptable.
It is socially acceptable. Let's see. I know I had a question to ask everyone. I forgot exactly what it was. Oh, okay. What did you guys think about the mechanic where you didn't choose the cards that go into your deck as much as you choose the items you wore, which represented like sets of cards? You know what I'm talking about. What did you guys
Yeah.
think about that?
Well,
I got wrecked.
Tony?
Oh, okay. um, I liked it. I think it added a lot of variability, and I mean, there were some items that had like, for example, 2 really powerful cards and then 1 like negative card.
Yeah.
So it kind of allowed you to get more a varied range of effects. You know, you could have like some really cool stuff, but then you have to pay the price when you draw that really bad card. So um, I liked it. It added a lot more variability to what you can do. Um, I think it was better than just having like 1 card that you can choose, in my opinion.
I thought it was annoying when you like when you didn't have any cards to fight with, or all you had were walking cards or running cards.
Yeah, I agree with that. There were a few times where I was like, I really don't need all these cards. I mean, I know if you pass enough times, you can get rid of all but 2 cards, but I would have liked it if you could have potentially just gotten rid of your whole hand if you didn't like it. You know, like there were points in the match where it's like I didn't need armor. I really didn't. I just needed some damage, so I wanted to get rid of all my cards and hope for a bunch of damage cards so I could just smash something, you know, or more movement cards or something like that. So
Yeah, I feel like it would be nice to have, like, maybe that would be something on a paid version, but a way to customize the cards in your item, possibly by trying to, like, switch out, like, certain movements or certain kinds of attacks.
maybe that's like crafting. If you
Yeah,
yeah.
if you had that, that would be cool. Other than that, though, I kind of liked the simplicity of it, though. It's like I don't have to pick specific cards. I pick specific items, and it's like, okay, I like most of that. I could use most of that.
Yeah.
There's a couple that are kind of but I guess that kind of helps with balancing.
Mhm.
If it's not like everything's like an amazing hit on every single thing, especially if it's a low item.
Yeah, and I think my favorite part of the whole thing, the whole mechanic, was exactly what Tony had mentioned, that there were certain items that had great cards but had negative cards, and it was more apparent on like the enemies. Like there were enemies that had cards that were called like clumsy or something, and it would cause them to do stuff that was just, you know, clumsy, and it got me thinking, like, why would you have a card like clumsy in your deck? You know, that seems stupid, but
But
it's
why would you
probably,
play it?
yeah, and why would you play it? But it makes sense if
If
it
you're a
makes
novice,
sense
like level
yeah,
2.
yeah, if you're taking that card because it allows you other cards, you know, and it kind of fills up your hands, so maybe you have to play it at some point. There was a mechanic I never really got to. I kind of started dabbling with a little bit, but there were cards called Unholy, I think, and they had a little U on them, and the cards usually had some kind of negative effect or were accompanied by cards that like did horrible things if you used unholy cards. But the unholy cards were really powerful. So you could use a really, really powerful card, but it would come at the expense of some horrible curse, you know, and I don't know, it's just interesting. I liked that because it's something that you don't get in collectible card games, is, you know, because in most collectible card games you have all the choice in terms of what goes into your deck. You don't have to put anything in there most of the time, and if there's ever a case where you do have to put something in there, it's probably because you need it and not because it's a counter to some balancing factor or something. So I don't know. It was a neat way of doing all that.
In Yu-Gi-Oh, there's cards that you usually want in your deck, but they might cause damage to you as well. But usually it's because they have an effect that will benefit you in the long run, although you have to take a hit for it. With
Yeah.
this, when I was using the unholy cards, it's like I just stopped using them because all I was doing was hurting myself, and I'm like, what the heck is this? Why did I even buy the Necronomicon or whatever the heck it was called?
Mm-hmm.
It just looked cool, so I bought
Yeah.
it.
And I'm sure there's probably some combination of cards that make that maybe more beneficial at that cost, but it was certainly interesting.
I have a question about the races and really, did it matter which one you picked? Because I didn't see like a lot of racial benefits anywhere, as far as I got.
Elves can move and have no HP. Dwarfs can't move and have all the HP, and humans are just there.
They're
Okay.
kind of neutral. Yeah, that was the difference that was described. Like when you were choosing the different races, it kind of described them that about basically elves having higher mobility, but at a cost of health, which is probably why my elf paladin always died immediately. I probably shouldn't have had an elf paladin, or at least not built that way. But yeah, and then I think Sonia, the reason you had trouble in that one fight,
I had all dwarves.
you had all dwarves, yeah, and you were
Because they're
trying to
cute.
chase
That's
them.
why I picked them. It wasn't because of their abilities. I just like the way they look.
Oh yeah, no, I totally got you. I mean, I had a human warrior, dwarf mage, and elf paladin. That seemed to make sense to me, and I'm sure if I worked on it a little bit more, it'd probably be better. But one thing I noticed, I actually saw, I was watching some of the multiplayer matches, and there was, it seemed as though, at least in this one match that I was watching, one of the teams was all dwarves and the other team was all elves. And it must have something to do. I wonder if there's cards that just like specify certain races, and I wonder if that's kind of top tier, gameplay where you kind of maximize your team by choosing all one race and then using cards that benefit that race and all that stuff. I clearly didn't get to that level, but I have a feeling that kind of exists.
You're watching an
Yeah.
MLG match.
Well, I think I remember reading something about them saying that the cards that you get actually are affected by the race that you have, kind of like the humans. It said that they would get more strategic planning cards, but I never tried a human mage and then an elf mage to see if there were differences there.
Yeah,
But it sounded like that might be the case. So if that's true, that would be kind of cool.
Yarp. Yarp.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to affect me later on, the longer that I play, but I've been okay with all dwarves so far. So I think I might stick with that. How often can you change your characters and their races?
Well, I know you can buy new ones, but they'll start at level 1. So I don't know if there's a way to change your guy's race if you already leveled them up. But you can get new ones.
So would you have to go back to the old battles in order to level them up? And can you go back?
Yeah, you can go back. Quests you can do, I think, once a day. So even if you complete it the first time, you can. Yeah, I think you have to wait a day and then you can complete it again.
Yeah, that's probably another part of their business model, is getting to quest more often in a single day. Sneaky. Did any of you guys ever encounter their business model as a barrier? Like you felt like you had to spend money in order to do something, or something would have been much easier had you spent money, or anything like that?
Oh.
I mean, not personally for me. I think you could just go through the game, and I guess with the one quest thing, if you got stuck and stuff was too hard, then you just wait a day, and then you can play the earlier quests and level your guys up a little more. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really have any problems. I mean, there are some cool things that would be nice to have, like being able to change like the look of your character. I got free pizza from the guy, so I picked a new look for my character. But other than that, there's really nothing gameplay-wise that would stop me not having
Pay
I'm
for
not
it.
paying for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you guys think about the premium currency being represented by pizza or slices of pizza?
I thought that was kind of original.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Instead of it being just like world bucks or
Yeah, in a lot of
whatever they want to
games.
come up with that looks like $1.
Yeah, in a lot of games, it's like the game money is gold, and real money is green gold, and it's like
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not currency. You're just bribing the GM.
yeah, that's actually a
Ah.
really good point. You're bribing the GM.
Mhm.
That's funny. Wow, the theme goes even deeper. I think that's one thing. As much as I enjoy the mechanics of the game, I definitely think the theme really, really, really added to it immensely.
Yeah. I think it's pretty funny. I like that idea of the bribery and even though it's like it's not really true. Oh, I don't think so. It's true to life. I've never bribed anyone with pizza, but
I have.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons nearly as much as a lot of people I know, but I know that the dungeon master, the person who's running the game, has all the control, and I think in a lot of ways the people who play dungeon masters really like that. And if you just feed on classic human nature, if you bribe the god of the game, you can kind of get your way, and the bribing him with pizza in this case, it might be a little silly and extreme, but it kind of makes sense, if you want something changed in the game or you want some kind of bonus or benefit, you can't just make it happen. You have to get the GM's approval. And hey, here's a couple slices of pizza, mind if I have a few more items every time I open a chest? Well, sure.
He's the god of your little world you're playing.
Exactly.
Better be some good pizza.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just starving. It's like,
Yeah.
It's just,
He's so scrawny. I wonder how much pizza he can eat. Where's he putting it?
maybe he's like a teenager and he could just like put it away.
Yeah.
That's true.
That high metabolism.
Those days are long gone.
Yeah.
How's your eating?
I know.
I'm sorry, Gavin.
I'm sorry. Is my chewing like a cow bothering you?
No. I just think it was funny.
The more important question is, what are you eating?
It's popcorn.
Oh, delish. Popcorn.
Doesn't even have butter on it.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Hello,
Well,
chicks,
no,
1,
when
2,
you
3.
when you get used to living on a bland diet, you eventually don't miss things anymore. And then when you do get them, you're like, whoa, that's a lot of something.
Yeah, no kidding. So, would you guys have played this game if no one had told you about it, but if you had maybe come across it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's a free to play game, so it's kind of one of those. Hey, all right, let's see what this is all about. Now,
Yeah.
I think it's probably the game is going to be designed for a niche market because there's a lot of little the fact of D&D and you're playing on an actual green felt table kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you were just some like non-gamer per se, I don't see people playing it per se because they may not get some of the little things in it like a dwarf wizard kind of thing. You're like, what? Like for me when I played D&D, the second version of it, dwarves couldn't be wizards, and then I see
Mhm.
this, I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like
Yeah.
I'm watching one right now, and one player has two dwarf wizards and a dwarf priest, and then one opponent has a elf warrior, dwarf wizard, and then a human priest. So it's little things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you think being kind of a fan of those genres already kind of helps? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see this being a game for casual gamers, really. Even though it's free to play, I don't think it's a very casual game. I mean, it could be, but I think to a certain point, like you have to have a more strategic mind, and a little more patience to be like, okay, what are the best choices here, and how do I place myself on the board? But Kat, you said you probably wouldn't have played it if it wasn't recommended to you or part of a event like this.
Well, the whole time I was playing it, I was kind of wishing it was a multiplayer.
Hmm. There is a multiplayer option, which I did not actually get to. Did any of you guys?
Mm-mm.
I guess I didn't notice there was one.
I didn't get a chance to do it.
Yeah, I was too scared of getting killed.
Plus, I was kind of involved with my own stuff, so I didn't really go off and do that.
Well, is that multiplayer? Is it a PvP or PvE kind of thing?
The multiplayer is PvP, so you're playing against other players. I don't know if there's a PvE.
You want to play with other characters. I know that's kind of probably the way the game's formatted, but that when you're playing a tabletop game, you want to play with other people.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point. That it would be pretty interesting if each person maybe had one character, and you could play with two other friends, and you guys could go through a dungeon, and each of you are taking turns playing cards to advance your characters in the combat. I mean, heck, it even had a little chat box up in the top left that kind of showed the combat log, but I'm sure you could type to each other like, oh, okay, I'm gonna advance forward, and start attacking them. If you're the priest, I'm gonna need a heal and blah 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 and strategy and have fun like that. I would have enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah, I think that's how I'd want it too, because it feels more like a real D&D environment that you would have,
The problem
playing
is
with your friends normally.
the problem is that like if you didn't have a bunch of friends to play with, if you were playing with random people, you might either have trouble finding people to play with or them sticking through the whole game. In case whatever 14-year-old you're playing with has to take out the garbage.
Right.
Well, it is turn-based, so fortunately, like if someone had to jump up and do something, they could. But yeah, I could see how it could be a problem if you had to rely on other people to play, because you could be, 10, 15 minutes into something, and all of a sudden, it's the 14-year-old has to go take out the trash, and oh, it's too late. He's got to go to bed. He didn't do his homework. His mom's yelling at him. Which reminds me of a hilarious piece of audio. It's basically some kid got in trouble. He was basically caught smoking while he was playing Xbox. And you could just hear his parents raging, and it's pretty entertaining. I'll have to find it and share it with you guys at some point. But that's what it made me think of.
Why would you smoke while playing a video game? You can't. You had to hold in your. You couldn't It would just interrupt gameplay.
People will do what they want to do, regardless of the logic. Although, what really drives me nuts, and I encountered this all the time, especially in World of Warcraft, is people who go on smoke breaks while you're playing the game, and it'll be like, okay, we got all 20 people here, we're getting ready, we're gonna go fight the boss. Is everyone ready? Oh, hold up, I'm gonna go take a smoke break. No, wait, let's just fight the boss. No, I gotta take a smoke break. And you're just like,
Tobacco monkey.
ah!
Yep. Well, I guess that's what you deal with most multiplayer anything that's online.
Yeah,
If
just
it's
people.
not all your friends, you get that chance of getting that guy.
Yeah, those pugs.
Bugs. Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Tazion says that he plays Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone. He's probably gonna check out Card Hunter. Says it looks pretty cool. It is pretty cool, Tazion, and it's free to play. For the most part, they all have a model, so there will be times where you will be compelled to spend money. But we all talked about how we really didn't confront that, and we still were able to play quite a bit. Doesn't seem to limit you. It just gives you the convenience of spending money. And if you have an extra Hearthstone key, send it my way.
I want to
You
play
know,
that.
you know they're like giving those keys out now. Like,
I know. I requested a beta key, and I have not received it, and I've been hearing from other people saying, "Oh, yeah, I got my key," and all this stuff. So I know what will happen. I will probably get my key as soon as someone gives me one. I'll get a key, I'll use it, and then I'll get my key in the mail. So
but doesn't the game come out? When does the game come out?
I have no idea, and I'm checking my inbox now. Let's see what happens.
While you're looking at that,
Nope.
back to that question about if we would have played it without having this event and someone just told us about it.
Yeah.
I think I would have, because typically, like, if I look, it's really silly, but when I look at the screen on the front, it just looks like an adventure, so I want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm really easy to
Yeah.
be sold on something, especially if it's free.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, this looks like fun. That's all it takes.
I really do like their kind of old 80s color palette for some of the like splash art and stuff like that. I mean, it's a little richer, but some of the paper, the paper and logos and stuff look a little like kind of faded, like kind of dated, even though it's updated while it's dated at the same time. I don't know. Maybe an artist could explain that better. But if you look at old like Dungeons and Dragons covers, it kind of is reminiscent of that. Go ahead, Kat.
I
Artist.
thought it was like I detected a hint of Hellboy actually in some of the art.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely got that vibe as well. Yeah, that kind of similar color palette and very flat, bold lines, I guess. But it's pretty cool. Let's see. Tazion says regarding the Hearthstone key, he followed a lot of their social media and got the key 4 days later. Yeah, I mean, unless those social media networks actually know which account yours is, I don't know how that would make a difference unless you like or follow with the same email that you signed up for the beta key. But maybe I'll give it a try. I don't want in that bad, I guess. That I'm gonna get spam from them. But
You're
anyway.
missing out.
Are you in the Hearthstone beta, Shane?
No, not at all. I've removed WoW from my life.
Oh well, yeah.
You're probably better off.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the mechanics of it, it looks pretty cool. I mean, I'm waiting for Riot's card game to come out. So.
Well, I don't know if I mean, did you kind of follow what happened with all that, Shane?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so I saw these Twitters from Mark Merrill, the CEO, one of the founders of Riot. One of he had a string of Twitter tweets, I should say, talking about news and things that they're about to present and share, and he starts teasing these images of what totally looks like a League of Legends themed card game, or at least, card game, and I think it was called Supremacy or I don't know, something like that. And at a certain point, one of the tweets said I'll keep sharing this information until Mark tells me not to. And I was like, what? Unless he's having some, like, bipolar incident when he's talking to himself or whatever. Some weird kind of schizophrenic thing, and he's talking in the third person. I was like, what is this? So I sent him a quick email, and I'm like, dude, did you get hacked, or is this legit? Because I'm excited, but if you're getting hacked, you're getting hacked, And he said yes, he did get hacked, and someone did leak a bunch of like kind of art content for a League of Legends type card game, but he later stated in one of his tweets that it was one of many projects that never really got off the ground.
Oh.
So unless that's just kind of a cover-up, it's possible it's just a bunch of art assets that are for something that never made it, kind of died in conception, or it never got off the ground floor, whatever you want to call it.
Gotcha.
But I remember talking to a few people there long time ago about possibly doing a card game, and I've always been kind of excited about that idea, and I won't get into it, but it was just I was excited about the idea of it.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. But anyways, that's the story. So I wouldn't get your hopes up, Shane, because it's possible that it'll never happen, or at least it won't happen as soon as we want it to happen.
That stinks. So watching these people play online, it's a very long match, I guess, if two opponents are good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like one of the casters on the Dwarf Wizards team has been just blasting them with like this cone of cold kind of thing, so they can't move. So it's I have a feeling that if I played this more, I wouldn't be that good at this game. Like, my brain doesn't function on like 12 steps ahead of what I'm gonna do, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I do about 4 steps ahead.
Yeah. And one thing I think I would probably get frustrated by is the pacing of the game a little bit. At first, when you're kind of learning it, I liked the speed, but there was a certain point where I kind of felt like I wish the map was maybe a little smaller, or that maybe enemies die a little faster. Because there were some matches where it wasn't really all that hard. It was just time consuming. And I'm just kind of chasing things, trying to kill it, or it's not running away, but I'm just standing there. Like, all 3 of my characters are standing right next to this giant monster, and we're just hitting it, and we're just waiting for it to die.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, for a game like that where there's not a lot to look at, I don't really want a scenario like that. Because that's kind of boring. I want a scenario where there's, it's, I don't know. Yeah, that's something I could get tired by. And when I watched that multiplayer match, I didn't even watch it all the way through. I sat there for about 15 minutes watching these people go back and forth, and I got bored to tears, because I was just like, geez, with all the movement that they have and the damage and the heals, it just takes so long for it to actually end. And I imagine because you recycle all your cards, it could never end. You know what I mean? Unless someone just makes a real stupid mistake. And it's almost like there needs to be some kind of diminishing returns, or like the map has to start getting smaller, or lava starts to appear, or something that kind of forces the game to speed up a little bit.
Hey, Robert, the floor is lava.
The floor is lava. It's always lava. Don't you know that? It's always lava.
We should have a game out where we play like old games as you played as a kid, like walking on the chairs. Yeah, the floor's lava.
You know what? That would be a great. How like fun of a holiday would that be? A holiday where the floor, basically you spend the entire day the entire 24 hours, assuming that the ground is lava, and you have to spend the whole day. I mean, it could be on a weekend, but just how would you go about your life if the floor was made of lava?
I'd have like foldable chairs and I'd be like hurling them off of my bed and like.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
I remember
things that were light.
Huh?
Stilts.
Yeah. Well, I remember I would go to the couch,
if they're
right?
wooden,
And
the lava will burn through them.
I would take the pillows
Same
off the
with
couch,
chairs.
and I would use pillows and chairs to create like stepping stones. It's like, okay, I got to get to the other couch, right? And when I get to the couch, I can use those pillows to create more stepping stones. But now, I want to try and backtrack and use some of the other pillows, and you get to one side of the room, and you're like, well, I got to go back, so blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, we should totally do that when I come to visit.
We should. We should totally do that without Terry knowing it, and she'll just walk in, and we'll be up on couches and chairs, with little stepping
dogs.
stones. Dogs barking at us.
The
They're like,
dogs
"Which
are piranha
lava?"
lavas.
Yes,
Lava
Les.
piranhas.
Exactly. If the lava wasn't bad enough, it's swarming with lava piranha.
And she like walks in and we're all screaming, "Oh my God, get up on something!"
Yeah.
She's like, what? Why? What's on the floor?
Exactly.
That would be funny.
I used to do the same thing when I was a little kid. So they didn't do lava. It was like the rug was water. You had to like get across it.
Yeah. Yeah, like we would do what was it, like quicksand or something, where it's like you could jump into it, but you couldn't be in it for very long, and if you were, you would need someone to help you get out. And I remember like with my brother, like trying to like help each other out, and of course one of us would always fall in because that was the fun part.
That's what we did before there was internet, children.
I know. Back when the imagination was king.
I remember in the pool, Rashawn and I would play like Shark Attack, where one of us would be like on the bottom, like dragging the other's leg across, and we'd be all, whoa, like that, like we were being attacked like in Jaws.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then we'd like float up on our backs like we were, dead. And I always thought like, God, Terry must have like. She had to have known our game, because if you saw your child floating on their back in the pool, you'd be pretty freaked out. I mean, not well, like down,
And like freaked out. Try being a twin and playing The Shining. Come play with us.
Yeah.
That would be good.
You're like in the hallway just playing with the ball. A little creepy.
Well, Sonia, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, so we're not stuck in an 80s fantasy.
Yeah. 90s?
80s, 90s. Your best games you play is at 6. Everything after that's a hack.
Trying to think of any other questions I have. Oh, well, the one at the... Well, we probably already said this, but would you recommend this to other people?
Yeah, because it's a free-to-play game, I would definitely recommend it to other people. And if they turn this into an app, like for your phone, I think I would probably be all over it.
I would play it more.
Yeah.
Actually, I want that. They should do that.
Don't worry, the game market will be saturated with plenty of these. I'm pretty sure plenty of these things are apps that are similar.
Yeah.
And if they're not, they will be very soon.
Yeah, exactly.
They're already like, okay, do it right now.
You gotta kidnap Sonny and lock him in a room with a computer and tell him, okay, you're not leaving until you program an awesome hit. And
I've tried to do that, short of locking him in a room. He's very content with his lucrative Google job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it matters as much of what he's working on, but that he's working and being paid appropriately.
Right.
But maybe one day.
I'm trying to think of his favorite food. If we could pay him in food.
Pizza.
Pizza, yeah. Bribe him.
You can pay him in Rashawn hugs. He likes those a lot.
There we go. But then we have to get Rashawn to properly...
That's 2 people.
Yeah.
That gets more complicated.
So have her draw it and have him program it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have to help us convince them of that when you come over.
Bait them with pizza. Oh wait, no, Sonny can't have pizza like me anymore. Dang it. Bait him with. Dang, what can people with acid reflux have to eat that's awesome that you can't get anywhere else?
Mango?
Mangoes?
Or is that too acidic?
I don't know. Everyone's different. I don't usually eat mangoes very often, so.
Oh, I love
Anything
mangoes.
with coconut in it is good.
Greek yogurt.
There you go.
Yeah.
Greek yogurt.
Frozen Greek yogurt.
Oh, how this conversation has dwindled.
It's just okay, well, it's 8 o'clock now. I guess thanks to everyone for participating, and thank you to all the streamers and everybody out there for watching us and comments and such. If you haven't played it yet and you want to, go Card Hunter. Go to cardhunter.com. It's free to play and it's fun. If you're interested in following Uncharted Interactive, you can go to unchartedinteractive.com. We're on G+ and Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and SoundCloud and blah blah, lots of everything.
Blah, 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 yakety schmackety.
Anyways, so thanks for watching, and I don't know what we're doing next month. Yeah.
I have an idea,
I
and
still
I'll
have
tell you
the
guys
Fire
later.
Game.
I'll tell you after
Okay.
the stream.
Okay.
It's a game I saw on Steam, and it looks kind of cool, and I saw someone playing it, so I'll tell you once I log into Steam, and the viewers
Okay.
get surprised.
So I'll say goodbye. We'll say goodbye to the people watching out there, and we can talk about the next game ideas.
Sounds good.
So good night, peoples out there.